Welcome to game number 11 of the World Championship match being played in New York City between Magnus Carlsen and Sergey Karjakin. This game number 11 specifically played on the 26th of November 2016. Must be noted that after Magnus Carlsen won game 10 to take the score to 5-5, there's a sneaking suspicion going around that Magnus is starting to gain control of the match. Just 2 more draws will tie off the classical games at 6 games all, and taking into account that Sergey has played almost 0 Rapid and Blitz this entire year, that certainly does swing the tiebreak situation across into Magnus's favour. But the one thing that I have to note here is that the change in rules that the FIDE has brought into this. Back in the days of the classical World Championship matches in years gone past, okay, granted that those World Championship matches extended to 24 games instead of the current 12. But be that as it may, the reigning World Champion had draw odds, which meant that the challenger needed to beat the World Champion in classical games over the course of the match in order to take the title, and that the reigning champion could retain his title by drawing the classical match, because he had not been beaten for the world title. But that's been dropped and changed, and it's interesting to note that the first time that the no longer draw odds came into the classical match format of the world champion was after Russia no longer had a world champion. Whether or not there's any conspiracy behind that, we'll have to wait and see how that pans out over the years to come, when Russia does not have as much control over the corporate management of FIDE as what they do at the moment. But back to the game at hand. Sergey opened with e4, which is much in line with what he has been doing all the way through this match, continuing e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, yet another Spanish opening, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castle short, bishop e7, which is the main line of the Spanish. Magnus steering his way clear of the boring Berlin type of situations that Sergey has been taking, where Sergey has just been pushing for as many draws as possible with the black pieces. d3, b5, bishop b3, d6, a3, castle short, knight c3, bishop e6, knight d5, knight d4, knight takes on d4, e takes on d4, knight takes on f6 check, bishop takes on f6, bishop takes on e6, f takes on e6, f4, and we are 14 moves down, and we've literally just about leapfrogged through the entire middle game and almost already completely into an endgame setup. c5, queen g4, queen d7, f5, rook a to e8, bishop d2, c4, h3, c3, b takes on c3, d5. This is perhaps trying to confuse white in the situation, but as usual, Sergey manages to keep his nerve in the situation. Bishop g5, bishop takes on g5, queen takes on g5, d takes on e4, f takes on e6, rook takes on f1 check, rook takes on f1, queen takes on e6, c takes on d4, and e3 being played, which immediately pushes, as you can see there, pushes Magnus into a strong pass pawn situation that is supported by both the rook and queen bearing down through onto that e1 square, which is more from a physical point of view, but there is a certain amount of pressure there, and at this type of league, that type of pressure is way more of a psychological nature than anything else, to see whether or not Magnus, this late into the match, with fatigue starting to set in, whether or not he can force Sergey into committing some type of error in the defensive situation. Rook e1, h6, queen h5, e2, queen f3, A5, pushing the A pawn one step closer to promotion here, is again a way of trying to exert psychological pressure on Sergey Karjakin. C3, Queen A2, Queen C6, Rook E6, Queen C8 check, King H7, C4, Queen D2, Queen takes an E6, Queen takes an E1 with check, King H2, Queen F4, Queen E4, and a draw decided between the two players, which takes us to 5.5 points each into the final classical game of the match, where Magnus has the advantage of the white pieces. So even though the score is tied, the overall sentiment of the match seems to be swinging a little bit more in Magnus's favor, but bearing in mind that the one game that Magnus did lose during the course match was when he tried to push overly hard and overextended himself while playing with the white pieces and landing up losing the game. He definitely can't afford to do that in the next and last classical game of the match, and it'll be more case of looking at exerting micro advantages to see if you can bring the point home or take the game, entire match, through to rapid and blitz playoffs. So that brings me to the end of my report on game number 11 of the World Championship match played in New York City between Magnus Carlsen and Sergey Karjakin. As I said, game 11 played on the 26th of November 2016. Be sure to like and share this video. Post any comments, questions or criticisms that you may have in the comment section down below. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, and last but by no means least, remember, stay carved up for the win. I'll see you next time. Cheers.